Good morning, class. I hope everybody is doing good today. So today we're going to just get right into it because we have a lot of work that we have to do. So previously we talked about the theme of loneliness and isolation, and we talked about moments where we felt that. And last week we discussed color theory and how important it is that color is in your pieces and what colors mean to discuss the colors of the color wheel. Who remembers all the colors of the color wheel? Please raise your hand. Yes, it is red, yellow, orange, green, blue, and purple. So those are all the main colors that we're going to be working with today in our value chart. So as I discussed, what does the color blue tend to mean in works that we discussed about the other day? Yes, more like sad, kind of lonely feelings, a little bit more isolated, cool. Sometimes it could mean like a temperature. And then does anybody know what more like reds, yellows, and oranges, those warm colors, what do they mean? Yes, they mean more energetic, like happiness a lot of the time. Sometimes it can mean heat. Sometimes it's like kind of like nature in a way, like the sun. So those are some of the things that we talked about. So today we're going to learn about tint and about shade. So does anybody want to guess what tint means when we talk about color? So tint is going to be whenever we add white to a color. And it can be little by little by little, but that is a tint. And then a shade is just the opposite. It's when you add black to a color. So we're going to start experimenting with some paint. Okay, class, so I have passed out all of the value charts for you guys. Everybody should have one paper plate. We're gonna do just our first color together. It's always easier to do your first paints. So I have just red, white, and black. Everybody has their own jar of water, one paintbrush, and then I have everybody have a little rag. So what we're gonna do together first, it's gonna be our first line here. So every single block, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna say in this block here on block 5 is going to be our primary color, okay? So you're gonna take your paintbrush, and a little bit goes a long way. You can always add more. And try to be as clean as possible whenever you are painting. I personally really love these angled brushes because I think they get a nice crisp line. But remember, things don't have to be perfect. Nothing in life is going to be perfect. So don't put that pressure on yourself. Just as long as we are really focusing on tints and shades and how white and black can really affect a color, but we still want to see that primary color in there. Okay, so once everybody has their red down, I take a little bit of water, take that, and you're just going to dry off your brush with that rag. Okay, so I think I'm gonna start with the shade. So that means black, everybody. So shade is black and tint is white. Let's everybody remember that. I'm going to keep going over that so that way we don't forget it. Okay, so you're going to take a little bit of your red. I'll go over here. And we're just going to work on that first one. So this one obviously is going to be your darkest red. But remember, it's not going to be pure black because the point of it is you still want to see that pigment of red in there. So this one's going to be just a little bit. And remember, these are really pigmented. So that dark can get really, really dark really fast. So I always I like to just mix it. Sometimes we will use like a painter's mixers, which are like little plastic spatulas kind of. So that way your brushes don't get all this goop on there. But for just this, we're gonna use our brush. When you guys start doing your actual canvas painting, you'll have that option of mixing it with an actual little spatula. So I'm starting to like this color. It's kind of like maroony, but it's not too much black, but it's at least a shade enough where you can tell it's darker than that primary color. So then we're just gonna go in with this primary right next to it. What's also really nice is you guys get to have a feel of what acrylic is like. Acrylic and oils are so different feeling, and there's really benefits to both. Personally, I love painting with oils. I think that they are just smoother, but you got to work really hard because they don't dry. That's what's really great about this, is this is going to dry very fast. Okay, so we're going to wash our brush, clean it off. We're going to do the next one together too. So I just go back into that same one that we mixed, add some more black. I like to kind of scrape it up and pull it down. And this way you guys can get a feel for the brushes too. If you guys like a different brush, then you know, that's up to you guys. Whenever I pass out your full brush sets, you can pick out which ones feel best for you. Okay, I like this one. Remember, we want them to be slightly darker, nothing too drastic. And you guys don't have to blend them. You guys finished these early. If you want to challenge yourself, you can actually use it again and blend all the colors together. Okay, now we're on our last dark one. Take some more black. What's really great about this is you guys can see that it might look like it's black, but underneath you can still see there's a little bit of that red kind of maroony tone to it. Okay. Does anybody need to catch up with me, or are we all following along really pretty well? Good, awesome. Okay, so now we're gonna start with, what is it called again? Tint, because we're going to the white. So make sure you really clean out that brush, because we don't want any of that black to get in there, because then that's gonna actually not be very accurate to what a tint would be. Okay, so I'm gonna spin this around a little bit. Okay, so now we're gonna take this primary red. I like to get a pretty good bit because I like to work off of what I'm working with. And remember, we only need a little bit because we don't want it to be too white, because the whole point is that we're building up to it. I like to add a little bit. And once you guys really start working with paints, you'll get really comfortable and be able to pick these out so fast. It's gonna amaze you how quickly it's gonna go. So now we're gonna do, it's kind of like a peachy almost. A peachy pink. Okay. I find this process very relaxing. I don't know if you guys do, but I really love this. Okay, so now we're gonna go back in, add a little bit more white. Whenever we do the actual paintings together, your final canvas piece, I'll pass out real palettes, but for these little ones, to save some money in the budget, and so that way things stay clean, we're just gonna use these paper plates. Remember, try to stay in the lines, but as you can see, even Miss Trifiro can't stay in the lines sometimes. But as long as it's a nice, neat presentation, that's what I'm looking for. We're gonna just keep adding white. Getting more and more pink. I would love to see some of you guys challenge yourselves with blending. Okay, now we're on our last one together. This one, remember, is going to be the lightest. It's not going to be white. We still want that undertone of that red in there. Okay, so now that we have our first one all done together, now you guys can independently work, and I'll be around to check on everybody's progress. If you guys have any questions, some of the colors can get a little confusing, but as long as you just kind of slowly build, you'll end up with a nice gradation like this. Okay, class, so I've walked around, I've checked on everybody. You guys are doing a wonderful job. Who here needs extra time tomorrow to work for half the class period on this? Raise your hand. Okay, awesome. You guys will have around 25 minutes. So get started as soon as you can whenever we come into class tomorrow, and then you're gonna turn them in for a grade. And then we're just gonna review some stuff like we just talked about cool tones, warm tones, what they mean, how people use them to express emotion, like the theme that we're talking about, which is loneliness and isolation. So if you guys have any other questions though, don't hesitate to ask me. I'll be here, so you can stop by in your study halls if you need to. And then tomorrow, for those of you that have finished, you will be provided with another one, and you can practice blending colors together, just get more comfortable with the brushes, testing out different kinds, and all kinds of fun colors that you can start mixing with. Okay, guys? Hope you guys have a good rest of your afternoon. I will see you guys tomorrow morning, okay?